Welcome to Safe and Sound, sponsored by White Mountain Fire and Life Safety and Ladies Day LLC. Today on the show, we have Commander Dave Sargent with the Pinetop Lakeside Police Department and Kirk Webb, the Fire Marshal for Lakeside Fire Department. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
It's always nice to have you guys here.
It's always good to be here.
I know.
Yeah.
Lots of good
Absolutely.
information. Well, we wanted to have you on the show. We're going to do this in October, and we wanted to talk about Halloween safety. There's been incidents, one of the big ones are kids not being seen and getting hit. And just wanted your outlook.
Well, we recently, up in our neck of the woods, had an incident where someone was crossing the street in dark clothing and ended up getting hit. And so, yeah, that's a big concern of ours, is that if you're going to have trick-or-treaters out on the roadway, that parents take a flashlight with them to help illuminate the way that they're walking if you're out after dark, that you wear high visibility clothes. I think you go to any scene now with emergency equipment on it, emergency response systems responding. Everybody's in a safety vest now. Nobody walks around an accident scene anymore without a safety vest, because of the higher the visibility, the less chance of you being injured. So that's what we like to stress.
Be seen.
Be seen. If you're a ninja, dressed up as a ninja, and mom and dad have dark clothes on, and you're walking down the roadway and nobody sees that, it's not something that we want to see. We want to see high visibility, because if you're going to dress up as a ninja, mom and dad, wear brighter clothing. Take a flashlight with you, because if you can't be seen, the chances of you being hit are greater.
Things that I like too is seeing those light up sticks, those
glow sticks.
Glow sticks.
What kid doesn't like those, you know?
Yeah, so and those are another way to be able to identify and see that, because you kind of see that thing, you may be dressed in black, but you see this floating ring going around, or necklace or whatever the case might be. But that's another good way to bring visibility, because I know just driving down the road, there's been numerous times I'm driving, it's dark, maybe it's raining or whatever the case, and somebody's walking along the road, and even they may not even be in dark clothing, and they're very difficult to see. And with trick-or-treating, everybody's going to be distracted. Everybody's going to be looking right and left and checking things out and checking out the cool costumes and all that, and so they may or may not be paying attention, and it's easy to hit somebody, and we want to totally avoid that.
What is Halloween like for the police department?
That just depends. Depends on how full the moon is.
Exactly.
Do you bring extra people in, or?
It depends on what's going on and what's happening in town. Usually Halloween's pretty low key. There's
Unless it's a weekend too, probably, huh?
well, the weekend ramps it up just a little bit. We were talking before we came in here, the difference between rural and metro trick-or-treating, and it's night and day difference. I mean, when I came up here from a metro agency, the first thing that I realized was, it's dark up here. It's dark up here, because in a metro area, you don't really have to break out your flashlight too terribly often on a traffic stop, because all the illumination around you. But up here, you stop a vehicle on a traffic stop in Pinetop, you need every light forward and your flashlight so that you can approach that traffic stop safely. So it's night and day between metro and rural. And Captain Webb was talking earlier about the fact that the houses are more spread out in a rural area. I mean, I grew up in a suburb and used to be able to go around a couple blocks and you'd have a pillowcase full of candy.
Here you could go forever, 2 or 3 hours, and maybe get a little tiny bit, because, and I know when we used to go trick-or-treating, people that we knew, you don't want to go to houses and neighborhoods that you're not familiar with the people there, because that's when you start getting into a problem too. If you're going to somebody's house, you don't know them, who knows what could be handed out. Unfortunately, there are people out there that want to harm kids, and I don't know if we've had any instances.
Well, and that's actually on the rise. So I mean, offenses against children is actually on the rise. So don't you know, we've had years where parents will go into a neighborhood and drop their kids off. We'll be back in an hour, and leave. And now the kids are out on the road in a neighborhood they don't know, just going up and down, knocking on doors. That's not an advisable practice, not at all. No.
Well, and because of that, that's where all of the things that, you know, the trunk or treat that got started.
Yeah.
Programs in different churches I know will have, you know, like a night where they open up their gym and they have booths and cakewalks and all different kinds of activities for the kids to be able to safely enjoy Halloween, and because it's a fun time.
Well, and but there are those neighborhoods. There's like Blue Spruce, right? Isn't that a big trick-or-treating neighborhood?
That's kind of always been one that's
that's a little more high density. That's more like a suburb up there where you have houses on, you know, that are fairly close together, and you have a bunch of them in a subdivision.
And then there's my neighborhood, which is down by Paloma.
Right.
In that
Blue
area.
Spruce people are going to love you, by the way.
Sorry, don't go to Blue Spruce.
But I've actually noticed that people are starting to go more often, frequent the trunk or treats. That you know, City of Shola has one, Town of Pine Top Lakeside has one.
Ours is the 31st at 6 p.m. at Mountain Meadows, where, you know, kids can come there and they can walk down the back of trunks. People come and they dress their car up as, you know, they have a theme to it, and in the trunk is candy. And so in a short amount of time, that's the other thing, is parents aren't out doing a 10-mile hike with kids trying to, you know.
And I think in the past, haven't they set up, like We Amuse brings in his toys and bounce houses and things like that?
Yeah, they vary it year to year depending on what's going on.
There's been different activities.
Yeah. Are you still doing your haunted house?
You know, we actually haven't been doing that haunted house.
Bummer.
So it's
That's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
It got very difficult to keep the crews and call volume and to be able to put that on, and so.
Well, business is first, but
yeah, but it was great, and you guys did a very good job at that. Now, I know that in every Halloween's my favorite. I have, in fact, my house, I'm proud to say, some kids won't go to because it's too scary.
Too scary.
Oh, yeah.
So you're laying as a dummy up on the ground, and you grab their leg when they come up to the door? Or?
I have this jumping spider that when they walk by, it comes out, and I'm sorry, I don't care if your kid's 2 years old, that spider's going to get that kid. It's Halloween, and I can cackle, which scares people too. I'm not going to do it on here, but I have a thing that we always do. I bring people to my house. I do a big pot of spaghetti, and I want them to have, you know, a place to go, and the kids go and they can leave their stuff at my house. And then a girlfriend comes by, and she always brings her truck, and we put the kids in the back, which because we're going through the neighborhood, they're not going fast, they're going slow. They stop at one side, and the kids trick or treat and come back up to the truck, and then they'll go around the other side and get all the homes, because it's still the houses are close, but it's one horseshoe neighborhood, and then you have to go a little further around to go to another neighborhood, and so the kids are never left alone. I know that one of the hard things is in having a house in one of those neighborhoods, like, I won't say it again, but Bia, you know, I don't want to say Bia either.
Well, and there are a lot of other neighborhoods like that, like you're saying. We're starting to get more of that metro type area.
Well, what Rob and I do is we have flashlights with us, so we can help. If somebody's coming to a neighborhood with a car, we want to show them, hey, there's kids right here, you know, slow down. And so I stay at home with him, and my husband's out there, and he makes sure, he'll put his vest on, and he'll go out there, and he'll be like, okay, we have kids here, be careful. And I think that's the biggest thing. People just need to be aware.
Well, not just trick-or-treaters, but people that are out driving who may not have children need to be aware that there's children out on Halloween night, and that should just be obvious, but it's not obvious. So, you know, with Halloween coming up, be careful what you're doing after dark.
Do you ever have an issue, now not talking about children, with adults and being at the bars and the bar Halloween contests and everything? I mean, is there ever?
Well, I think the casino usually does some kind of a big Halloween
so people stay there usually,
and costume contests, things like that. Yeah, as far as I haven't really noticed any.
You know, I've been up here for about 13 years, and
things.
I can remember one or two Halloweens that seem to be pretty moving, but for the most part, it seems that Halloween's not too terribly bad. It's not like New Year's. It's not like it's not like some of the other holidays of the year.
People are a little more responsible, and they're having a good time, showing off costumes, and time to dress up and be somebody different for a day.
Well, absolutely. Kids definitely love it. My daughter already has her Halloween costume picked out. And that's what she does. She had it picked out in July, so we're set.
So Halloween is hardcore at your house. July.
Yeah, I'm pretty, honestly, I'm pretty proud because I want to get into the spirit of the fun, and you
Sure.
want to. I mean, it's an excuse to scare the hell out of people.
Oh, there you go.
And that's important to me. And you know,
So you're saying this is something you can legally do? Is that the
absolutely,
concept
one
behind
day a year
One
that
day,
I can
yeah.
scare the crap out of anybody I want, you know, and it doesn't matter age. I don't care if he's 86; he's going to be scared, or 2. But we do. I'm compassionate, and I did have a 2-year-old that we scared with a spider, but then we stopped the spider and we showed her it, and she was excited and she was okay. But there's people who won't go to my house and they go to the neighbor's house. That house is way too scary, and I'm proud of that. Now I know that we don't really have issues of people laying down and getting up and scaring people and people punching them like you see on the YouTube or anything like that, or anything getting out of hand.
It's interesting that you should say that because we used to do that at our house. But we never attacked. We just sit there like a scarecrow on the porch or something like that. And as they come up, then you lean forward and make some sound, and that
No
really
jumping
gigs
out,
people
though.
up pretty bad. Yeah.
Yeah, but no jumping out
No,
at people.
no jumping out. No assault on someone
Yeah.
type thing. Not like what you would do at your house.
No, I wouldn't do that. But yeah, no, gosh, Halloween's so much fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun.
But you know, just with people and you know, their kids, and we want their kids to be visible. But when they're at your house, you also want to make sure that we have a ditch in the front of our house.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's where we bury the kids. No, and
it's already dug.
we actually have to put things around it because one year, you know, the little kid, we keep telling him, no, go by the ditch, don't go through the ditch, because it's a pretty big ditch into there, and it drives Rob nuts because it ruins our grass and all that stuff too. But we've had to put stuff up just so to keep the kids safe, because we had a kid fall and we gave him some stuff. We're like, here's a box.
It's dark and they don't see
yeah,
it.
well, they don't see it and they think they can go around that way, and it's a little steeper than it looks because of the light. He got 2 headstones out of that and a box full of candy, but.
Oh, it wasn't his own headstone?
No, it wasn't his own headstone. We're like, yeah, take them. But that's something that we have to do. You know, yes, our house is scary, but we also have to protect people from getting hurt.
Sure.
You know, which is pretty serious.
Yeah, I wouldn't advise any frontal assaults on people with,
No.
yeah, because everybody has a right to defend themselves. And
Absolutely.
if they're put in a position where they fear for their safety, you know what, if you get knocked down, you had it coming. So be careful in how you scare. Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is pumpkins and what you put in pumpkins. I mean, I don't know how fires were at Halloween, if there hasn't been any.
You know, and I've seen a lot of, you know, different Halloweens, and I think it's always kind of a common occurrence that people will go and steal people's jack-o'-lanterns off their porch and then go and throw them in the street and destroy them. And you know, I don't condone that at all. That's really vandalism.
Mm-hmm.
Plus it makes a big mess all over the place. But you know, hopefully people aren't doing that, because a lot of these, you know, it's interesting. We used to have a pumpkin carving contest at the station, and man, some of the artwork that these guys do with these pumpkins, and it takes them a long time to do that. And so, you know, enjoy the artwork that happens with these pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns, and you know, and yeah, I think I've heard people going and blowing them up, things like that. Well, guess what? Fireworks are still not legal in the cities or towns, so
You can't do that.
exactly. You can get arrested, fined, or whatever the case might be with something like that. So,
Well, the other thing is boys and their toys. I know that pumpkin carving at my house involves power tools.
It's an art. Yeah.
Yeah, it involves power tools. So you need safety protection. Right. Honestly, I mean, you know, my dad has, I guess, I don't know what they're called, but they're the circle ones, and you can make the eyes and the nose and the mouth and do different sizes of them. And I have to make sure. Okay, Audrey, you're standing here. Okay, Dad, do you have your goggles on? You have protection? Are you wearing gloves? Okay, everybody's out of the way. Do not damage my table. You know, but people do use those as well, and that's a safety issue. You know, that they need to know what they're aware of, and don't have somebody hold the pumpkin while you're carving it with something.
well, and even sharp knives. You know, as you're carving these, you know, it's easy to slip off of that hard outer the shell of the pumpkin. You know, because it's very tough, and so a sharp knife can easily slide off and slice your hand and cause a lot of damage or whatever.
Think about it, though. Halloween's kind of dangerous.
It can be if you're not careful.
And then the other thing is candles and jack-o'-lanterns. And you know, I don't use candles. I use those like LED lights that flash different colors, and I put them inside those because it is safer. And
the one thing that using a candle, it's going to make that pumpkin on the inside start rotting faster. So just be aware. It can be safe, and use those. But here again, don't let your little kids light the candles because it's still something an adult should be taking care of. So, like you said, the safest way is use those, and they last for a long time. Tea lights, and they're LED battery operated tea lights, and those are pretty cool and rather inexpensive actually. So that's a safe way, and it gives you another cool effect because you can get the ones that change colors and whatnot. So.
And then you're not burning the lid of
glow sticks work in there. I've seen glow sticks being used.
Oh, that's smart.
Give you an eerie little color coming out of it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there's some people with some really cool talent that can make these jack-o'-lanterns just awesome. So it's I enjoy looking at some of that that artwork and the things that people can do. My own son does some pretty amazing carvings. He's quite the artist himself, and so he's carved some pretty cool pumpkins in his day.
That's awesome. Now, with Halloween, you guys, like you said, it doesn't matter. It's pretty low key. People up here are pretty well accustomed to what we do. The trunk or treats are a good place to go. I know that I take Audrey to trunk or treat every year just because it's extra candy. Of course, I end up giving most of her candy away.
Well, the thing that's nice is I know the town of Pinetop Lakeside and the city of Show Low, the people that they invite to participate, they know who they are. They're business owners, and so we know they're basically people that are not going to be out there to harm the children, and they want to be part of the community, and so it's a good event, and you can feel safe going to these events. I know, so the town of Pinetop Lakeside is actually on Halloween night. I believe the city of Show Low, theirs is the 25th, so the Saturday just prior to Halloween. And they have theirs at the Festival Marketplace where they have the farmers market. They're off of Cooley, and so it stretches a pretty good distance. So both of them are and I know I've been to both of those different years, and there's a lot of kids and parents that show up, and so
you get to see a lot of different costumes as well. And when we were younger, the thing was make sure parents check all the candy. If you're going someplace into a neighborhood that you don't know and you're dumping those kids off for an hour, then that might be a good idea to have a look through that before people start eating.
Well, and I hope parents realize that's not the best practice to dump your kid off in the neighborhood.
No, it's really not.
Plus, it's nice being the parent. You get the good stuff. Oh,
yeah, first pick.
First pick.
You don't need
done this a couple times.
I know. Had a few kids.
That's right.
So to recap, basically, it's important to make sure that these children are seen. And that's the parent's responsibility just as much as the kid's responsibility.
It's the parent's responsibility, yeah.
Or make sure the parents are seen and the kids next to them. One thing that this brings up, it drives me nuts, is parents who cross the street with their kids in front of them. I, as a parent, my kid is right next to me, and I have her by the hand. I don't let my kid cross the street before me. And that's another thing. I mean, I know that in the Valley that has been an issue where a couple kids have lost their lives because their parents are walking behind them and letting their kid go out in the street first.
And kids are shorter. Parents need to realize that when you sit in a driver's seat, depending on the vehicle that you're in, you may be so far off the ground that you just see this little tow head go bump, 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 across the front. So that's a good practice, that when you're crossing with especially smaller children, that you're actually a buffer between them. You're standing between a threat and them.
Absolutely.
Rather than letting them just take off across the road.
Well, and I make sure I always make eye contact with our driver. It doesn't matter if I have eye contact or not. I'm watching that person to make sure, are they going to go or not? And I have. Are
they seeing me?
Yeah. And I have my kid by the hand. I could toss her out of the way if I need to, And that's something that's been important to me. I've seen that so many times where parents just, you don't walk behind your kid. Have your kid next to you, protect your kid the whole time. Don't drop your kid off in a neighborhood, especially if they don't know. I think it's important to always have a parent, and luckily I don't have to be that parent. I get to stay at home and scare people, but I have two girlfriends that come over and they take the kids and they're with the kids the entire time, and it's probably 8 kids that are with them, which is great. And they can
higher visibility.
Yes.
Yeah, higher chance of being
in a
seen.
group, which is important. The next thing is, not if you're going to have a scary house, or if you're going to put, scary stuff out there, make sure that you're not going to endanger anybody, or hurt anybody.
Including yourself.
Including yourself. Definitely, whether it's, scaring people too abruptly and having them hit you,
Yeah.
which we've seen on YouTube, or it's like my ditch in the front of my house. We make sure that we block it off so nobody, it saves the grass. I don't have to hear it from my husband, but it also keeps the kids from falling, because it's not a significant fall, but you can't see it.
Well, and even
as
other
well.
hazards, that walkways, and if you've got some interesting landscaping that could pose a hazard, somebody falls down, trips, whatever the case, take those precautions and make them identified. Light them up somehow. Put your
Absolutely.
displays there or something, so that then that becomes a safer path of travel.
Move them to a safe route to walk, which is important.
Help it create a safer environment rather than just a scary environment.
And if they live in any of these neighborhoods, high flow traffic neighborhoods, do what my husband and I do, have that flashlight out there and help direct people and traffic in your neighborhood. Be aware and make sure, just something extra, make sure somebody sees these kids. I mean, because you do have parents who just totally skip out and I'm just dropping the kid off, or you have the older kids that don't need to go with their parents.
Yeah, and then you have the parents who sit at home and let the older kid take the younger kids, because they're just, and I don't know, depending on the children's age, I don't know that that's a good practice either, because now you're putting your small child in the care of a smaller child out on the road, and kids don't think the way adults think.
No, you're right. Yeah, absolutely. And
It's all about the candy with the kid. It's all about the candy.
now, is there anywhere else that the parents, if they have any more information or have any questions that we did not cover on this episode, that maybe they can contact or go to? Or
Well, the town has a website. The police department has a Facebook site. I know that's the same with the city of Shoal, that they have a website, and that the police department has a Facebook page. So you can go to either one of those places. They're easy to find. I don't know that we have time to rattle off all those addresses, but those are two good resources.
I bet you the Chamber of Commerce probably has some good information with those.
Okay.
And by all means, call your local fire, police departments. Yeah. Simple questions. Hey, what?
Yeah, we pick up the phone. We're 24/7 operations.
Wonderful.
Just don't dial 911.
Yeah, don't
unless it's a
dial-
true emergency.
Unless it's a true emergency. No,
Thanks, Kurt. That's a good point.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming on the show today, and this was a fun show.
Well, thanks for having us.
Halloween.
Halloween's fun.
Yeah, and maybe you guys can stop by
Where's
the
your
house
house?
next. I know.
I
Stop
know
by the
where
house,
it's
get some
at.
candy.
Okay.
We'll go scare
We'll go
her.
get her.
Good luck. All right. Well, thanks again.
Thank
and
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Safe and Sound, and we'll see you next month. This episode of Safe and Sound was sponsored by Ladies Day, LLC.